Welcome to Real Talk with Roberta's House. My name is Laurel. I'm the Program Manager for the H.O.P.E Project. Today is episode 4 of the Real Talk Roberta's House series of roundtable discussions on grief and healing. This evening's topic is still a mom coping with disenfranchised grief. When a mom loses a baby in pregnancy or an infant passes, she often feels isolated and alone. Miscarriage and infancy loss is like 1 in 4 statistics, and a lot of women experience loss, and it's still something very taboo in the community today. This evening, I am joined by Miss Brittany and Miss Moosley, and we'll be having a discussion about pregnancy and infant loss. And I just wanted to give you a little information about the H.O.P.E Project. H.O.P.E stands for Healing Ourselves Through Peer Empowerment. And we are a program that serves women that experience pregnancy and or infant loss up until 1 year of age of the infant that was lost, or a year up into the woman that experienced the loss. We also provide home visitation and support groups here at Roberta's House. And today I wanted to ask a couple of questions of the ladies that are with me in regards to their experience here at Roberta's House. So I will ask Brittany, I'll start off with you and ask, what brought you to Roberta's House?
My mother brought me to Roberta's House. She heard about Roberta's House and the H.O.P.E Project on the radio, and I lost my daughter, and my mother knew that she couldn't help me. She's never experienced anything like this, and she didn't know what to say or do, and so she called the program and told me I was going to go even if I didn't want to, and that's what brought me here.
Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing, like we always say. And Moosley, what brought you to Roberta's House?
Actually, I was at a book signing on Hopkins campus, and I met the president of this program, and she gave me her business card, told me that it was a great program and I should look into it, and I did, and I'm so grateful because it's changed my life.
Awesome. That's beautiful. Thank you for sharing. Well, we do have another one. How can the family help a mom cope? Like, how would you tell a family how to help a mom through her grief, knowing what you've experienced and coming through the programs?
I would say just support in any way that mom needs, and it doesn't necessarily look the same from mom to mom because each mom needs something different. But just support, be mindful of the things that you say. Although you may feel like you're helping, you may not be helpful to her. And I just say be gentle, because it is a difficult thing to experience, and so just being there, even if it's just, as we say, holding space, just sitting there, just letting them know that you are there.
Awesome.
Yeah, definitely.
And you?
I think it's important to just not judge. Don't insinuate any sort of guilt or what did you do or how did it, And I would say take cues from the mom, like Brittany said. Every mom's going to be different, but whatever she wants, allow for that. So if she wants to talk, let her talk. If she doesn't want to talk, she doesn't have to. And if she wants to lay in bed, allow her to, and get her some pillows so she can do it comfortably. And just give her love, because that's really all she needs. Love, acceptance. That's the best.
Awesome. Thank you. It sounds really good, because women do struggle with that process, and it sounds like both of you are saying just let mom follow the lead of the mom and basically hold a space for her. And that's a great thing to do. And sometimes if you don't know what to say, sometimes silence is the best thing. And just physically showing her that you're there to support her, versus just saying anything, because we've all had a couple of things that was said that wasn't so kind. And we know it's not from a malicious intent, but some words of comfort that you feel are comforting aren't always comforting to a woman in this position. So thank you so much for answering those questions the way you did. So Brittany, just a quick question: what kept you at Roberta's House? What made you buy into the dream and stay on as a volunteer and as ambassador for the H.O.P.E Project?
So shortly after I left the program, I did what we consider to be R in the tier, which was reinvest back into myself for, after the loss, and I created a business for myself. And I did it in memory of my daughter. However, I still felt like there was a void, and I wasn't doing something with, I don't want to call it a gift because it's a hurtful and a painful thing, but I felt like I wasn't connected. And so I decided to come back and volunteer once I found out that I could, and it's been phenomenal. I've tried to help ladies, but they don't realize exactly how much they've helped me as well. Continue through. It's a journey. It's not something that is over after you get over, the majority of the pain. It doesn't end. You still have different things that are hurtful, but if you're connected with your sisters, it makes it a little easier to go through. And so I decided to come back, and it's been a phenomenal decision. I had two of my, what do you call them, the FOS or FSS?
Oh, family sports specialist.
Yes, FSS. Laurel was my FSS, and also Jeanette, and both of you guys poured so much into me, and I felt like I had to pour into other ladies, and that's what brought me back.
Well, thank you. So, Musli, question. So, once you came into Roberta's house and you had your experience, what did you fully get out of Roberta's house? Like, how did the H.O.P.E Project really help you with a couple of things?
It really helped me to put the pieces back together. Kind of laid out a framework kind of every week to work on something a little different. And it was the check-ins with my FSS. It was, great so that I could really see the progress and see the difference. Because, when you're in the midst of it, you have a hard time having perspective and seeing where you were to where you are now. And so that was really helpful to have, third-party feedback to let me know, like, I was making progress. And then, of course, meeting all the ladies here was just fantastic, and we built a great network. And just knowing that you're not alone in this, that there are other women, and that's really the greatest gift.
Awesome. So that ties into the fact that pregnancy and infant loss is disenfranchised grief. That is something that's taboo, that a lot of people don't really talk about, and it's affecting a lot of lives of women in our communities, and they still haven't spoke about it or said anything, and they aren't encouraged to embrace it. So I think you guys feel like having the strength to come here and face that process, that journey, and allow us to help you and assist you in that journey. And is there anything that you would say directly to a woman now that if she was watching this, the importance of this program, something in regards to like her reaching out or even doing either the support group or the home visitation aspect or both?
I did the home visitation as well as the support group, and I feel like them together is a phenomenal thing because weekly you're working with your home facilitation to work on different things each week and to learn how to go through the steps. But being in a group allows you not just to connect with that one person, but allows you to be with people who are where you are right now. And I think that is impactful when you accompany that with the home visitation, just because it gives you I don't want to say a nice spectrum, but in a sense it does, because when you're talking to your FSS, that person has experienced the loss as well, but it's been a while, and so you're looking at them and you're kind of like, well, you're not hurting, because grief is selfish. So in that state you're just like, well, you don't understand. Even though I know that you've experienced that, you don't understand because you're not still feeling like that. And I can't see right now that I will ever feel any differently than I feel right now in this moment. So when you come into a room with all these other ladies who have experienced a loss around the same time as you, you feel a little bit more comfortable to say things that you may not say on your visits. And if that woman that is seeing you every week is in that room as well, they may be getting a picture of what you may not have said on that visit.
Exactly.
And it makes it just a very good pair.
Awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I would just tell any woman who's watching to please get help. Don't do this alone. You don't have to. I know you may feel like you're the only person, but the reality is, unfortunately, 25% of women have experienced this on some capacity, and the more we talk to each other, the more we can support each other, the less isolated and alone we'll feel. And just that presence of another person who understands is so healing. I know, I didn't even feel comfortable talking to a lot of my friends and family who had never experienced it. And for probably a month or so, I would only talk to other women who've been in my shoes. And because I was just too fragile to expose myself to, hurtful comments or, just unthoughtful comments or judgment, and I needed women who walked in my shoes.
Awesome. So another thing that comes up a lot is our angel dads. So we know that men process grief completely different, but what is one thing that H.O.P.E helped, I guess, educate you guys on how men grieve, especially when in regards to pregnancy and infant loss?
So, because you were my FSS, I was very angry with my spouse because I just felt like he wasn't hurting. And the program allowed me to understand that men experience grief differently and they show what they're feeling differently. And that really helped us because I started to realize that he was hurting as well, but he was waiting for me to finish grieving before he could, because as my protector, which is what I married him for, he had to let me go through that process first. So it really did help us, and it allowed us to be closer in the end. So that's what I understand as far as angel dads are concerned.
Awesome. That's good.
Yeah. I feel like this whole process has brought me and my husband closer, and I feel like that's one of the gifts of having to go through this experience. And my husband came and
he did, yes.
braved it out. But he was so happy to come and actually to meet you, because he realized that how amazing you are and how much you were helping me, and seeing everybody else in the room. Like, he got a great perspective on, how every woman is a little different, and, how he could better support me. So.
That's awesome. That's great. That's good feedback. Thank you for joining us for our Real Table Talk at Roberta's house, and tune in next week, Wednesday at 6 o'clock for our next episode. You can find more information about Roberta's house by logging into www.robertashouse.org.